Welcome back to another episode of MLB All Around, episode 5 here today. Real quick before we get started, make sure you check those links in the description. We got, the X link, the Discord, you want to join that, follow that. And then also we got a TikTok and a Twitch. I haven't done anything on either of those yet, but I will say that content on those two platforms is coming soon, so you're going to want to follow that, follow both of those links. And yeah, make sure to join the Discord, follow the X, like I already said. But yeah, so what we're gonna do in this episode, just usual things. Take a look at the standings around the league, and then do playoff predictions at the end based on the standings right now. If the playoffs were to start today, um, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We do not only do we do baseball, we do college football, NFL, NBA, college basketball, all year round. So make sure you subscribe if you're interested in that. Turn on the notice to make sure you don't miss whenever we upload. And I will say college football is coming very soon. College football content. We're going to preview each conference and really dive deep into it before my preseason top 25 comes out. That will be the final video before the season starts. So yeah, that's really building up. NFL right around the corner too. We had the Hall of Fame game yesterday. The Bears did win, so that's good. And yeah, so just subscribe, like this video if you enjoy, and without further ado, let's get right into the standings for today. So we got the American League to start off with. Looking at the AL East, the Orioles and Yankees still fighting for that top spot, and I think this division really is going to come down to the wire. These are two really good teams, really complete teams. Pitching wise, hitting wise. The Yankees just brought in Jazz Chisholm at the deadline. He's been amazing. 4 home runs in 24 hours. Ridiculous stuff from him. That outfield is just disgusting. And then looking at the Orioles, they're just a solid, well-rounded team. They got Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, both MVP caliber players, along with guys like Anthony Santander, Jordan Westbrook. I know he is out for a month, but we'll see what Jackson Holliday can bring to them. So I'm interested to see that. Ryan Mountcastle's there pitching wise. They got Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, Cole Irvin, guys like that. And yeah, like I said, the Yankees, just a very stacked team. These two teams are going to fight for the top spot in this division, I think, till the end of the season, really. Both these teams are legitimate, in my opinion, and I think you could argue both these teams are World Series contenders. I probably would agree with that if you said that, so. The Red Sox still in the middle of this division. Honestly surprised that they've been doing this good this season. When you look at their roster on paper, they really shouldn't be doing this good. Like on paper, I mean maybe not now since the Rays did just trade a lot of their guys, but on paper, besides maybe the Rays, they should be the worst team in this division. But it's just not the case. Rafael Devers has been amazing. Tyler O'Neill, Jarren Duran, Colton Wong. They got a lot of guys stepping up, and pitching wise, Tanner Houck is having an amazing season, sub 3 ERA. The Rays did just trade a lot of their guys. They traded actually with the Cubs, Isaac Paredes for Morel, and 2 prospects. So you could say who I think it's a pretty even trade, because. I mean, Paredes is obviously better than Morel, but you do get 2 prospects with Morel. Morel's not a terrible player, but he's no Paredes. Paredes was an all-star. They do also trade a Rosarina to the Mariners, so that's interesting. They still got Jose Siri. They still got a fun team. Just not anything special. I don't think they're going to be making a wild card push. I mean, maybe they could, but I don't really see it. And then the Blue Jays at the bottom. Disappointing to say the least. They trade Justin Turner to Seattle as well. They keep Vlad Guerrero, which I honestly thought he was going to get moved, but that's interesting. They decided to keep him. You still got George Springer, still got Bo Bichette, but it's nothing crazy in Toronto. Looking at the AL Central, boy, did this division make a quick turnaround. This was, widely considered the worst division in baseball for the past, 5 seasons, it feels like. And now, look, they have almost 360-win teams. The Tigers just below 500 now. If you exclude the White Sox, this is probably the best division in baseball. Even if you include the White Sox, they're probably still the best division in baseball. Um, like I said, three almost 60-win teams. Tigers are solid. Yeah, good on all these teams in here. Besides the White Sox, of course, they're on a. We're not even going to talk about them. They're on a 17-game losing streak. That is just something else. So yeah, we're just not going to talk about the White Sox. Um, but the Guardians at the top, honestly surprising. I thought the Twins would have this division. It's looking like the Guardians are kind of pulling away here, getting a comfortable lead. Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan still hitting 333. That's insane. Andres Jimenez, Josh Naylor. I mean, they got a ton of guys here just playing out of their minds. Um, yeah, I feel like the Guardians have usually been like a pitching first team. I mean, their bullpen is still insane. But, it's really been the offense, I feel like, that's stepped up for them. Um, so, yeah, good on the Guardians for keeping this first place in this division pretty much the whole season. The Royals sitting at second place here. They overtook the Twins. Bobby Witt Jr., what an absolute animal. He's in 350, 20 home runs, 78 RBIs, almost a 400 OBP. Is he the AL MVP right now? I think if I had a vote, I'd probably give it to Bobby Witt. I'm not even. I mean, he's been absolutely absurd. They still got Salvador Perez, um, you know, hitting 278, which is ridiculous. Pascantino's having a good season. Seth Lugo on the mound. He's been dominant, to say the least. 2.57 ERA, 13 wins. Yeah, he's been absurd. The Twins at third in this division. Um, Honestly, they should be. They should be. On paper, they're the best team in this division. Willie Castro, Carlos Santana, Ryan Jeffers, Max Kepler, Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa. That is a really solid lineup right there. But I mean, it's not like they're doing bad. They're 11 games above 500 pitching wise. Pitching wise has been a little bit iffy. I feel like that's kind of where it's went wrong. I don't want to say went wrong because, like I said, they're 11 games above 500. But I did expect them to win this division. But pitching wise, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, neither of them have a sub 3.5 ERA. Pablo Lopez has a 4.6 ERA, so you want to see a little bit better. Those are supposed to be the two guys there. The Tigers at fourth, 6 games under 500. They're a fun team. Javi Baez's fall off is something to talk about. He is just, I don't know what happened. He might be the worst player in the MLB, like straight up. He's in 178, making that much money. It's really bad. I mean, they got some guys. Riley Green is a name. Matt Vierling, Wenceel Perez. So they got a couple guys. Pitching wise, Scuball has been amazing. They bring in they trade Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers, which I thought was a little interesting, because he's been sub 3 ERA. He's been very solid. I was surprised. I mean, I don't know, because I didn't think they would sell just because they're still an up and coming team. So I thought they'd try to keep some of these pieces and just have a mediocre season just to get the fans back into it. But they did end up trading Jack Flaherty. So that's something to think about. They didn't sell. I mean, that was the only trade they made if I'm not mistaken. So I did expect them to keep him though, but you gotta they got some in return, so I don't blame them. Maybe they thought this was the best season he's ever going to have. It's only going to go down from here, which I could see, so I don't hate the move, but I did think it was interesting enough to talk about and bring up. The Astros at the top of the AL West, they overtake the Mariners for the first time in quite a while. The Mariners have been at the top pretty much for a couple of months now. Altuve still doing his thing, hitting 306. Yordan Alvarez hitting 296. They still got the guys, Alex Bregman, Jeremy Pena, Yainer Diaz. He's almost hitting 300. They got a lot of guys. Almost three people hitting 300. Um, yeah, I mean, it's the Astros. They're always gonna find ways to win. They're always gonna, do good. Um, Ronald Blanco, sub 3 ERA. Framber Valdez is still there. Justin Verlander's still there. Um, yeah, they're just gonna find ways to win. That's what they do. The Mariners, they bring in a Rosarina, which I do. I really like that move. They buff up the offense a little bit because besides Julio Rodriguez, and even with him, nobody's doing anything for this team. He's only hitting 263. You'd like to see him hitting up towards 280, 290, maybe 300. So it is disappointing. The offense has been absolutely ridiculous. The only reason they're still in this division race is because of their pitching. It's just been disgusting. Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert has been amazing. George Kirby, Bryce Miller, all those guys are posting around a 3 ERA, which is ridiculous. That's 4 starters right there. The bullpen's still nasty. Yeah, so I really like that Rosarena move. Hopefully he can give the offense a little bit of a spark and they can get back into first. The Rangers still right there. They didn't make. I don't think they made any moves. I might be forgetting, but they still got the same guys from the World Series team last year. They're just not putting it together. DeGrom has been hurt. The Angels just lost Mike Trout for the year. It is unfortunate because I do like Mike Trout, but they weren't going to make the playoffs. Taylor Ward, Logan O'Hoppe. Yeah, there's not much to talk about. And then the A's sitting in last place, not having a terrible. I mean, 20 games under 500, but for A's standards, this isn't a terrible season. Brent Rooker's hitting almost 300, so that's good. Besides him, and of course Mason Miller in the bullpen. There's not much to talk about here. I'm surprised he's still in the A's. Also, I definitely thought somebody was going to go out and get him, but they kept him. So. Moving into the National League, we got the Phillies at the top of the NL East. They're just stacked. Still, the top seed in the National League as of right now. Yeah, they just continue to win. They actually have been pretty cold, I will say. Recently, they're on a 4-game losing streak, 3-7 in their last 10 games. But I don't think it's anything to worry about. There's ups and downs in baseball, so really not too worried. Still got all the guys: Castellanos, Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Real Muto still there. So yeah, it's a loaded team. And pitching wise, it's even more loaded. Starting pitching and bullpen wise, the Braves at second. They're making up some ground. They brought back Jorge Soler, which I do like that move. Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Orlando Arcia, Jared Kelenic, Austin Riley. It's still a stacked team. Even without Acuna and Spencer Strider, they're still 10 games above 500. Chris Sale's really had just a good story here. Comeback season, 2.70 ERA. Max Fried's still doing his thing. It's still a very stacked team, even without arguably their 2 best players in Strider and Acuna. The Mets. I mean, the Mets are surprising. They all of a sudden they just came out of the woodworks, and now they're contending for a wild card spot. They're a half game back of the Diamondbacks as of right now. Lindor, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo. It's surprising because none of their guys are really having like a true breakout season, I guess. Mark Vientos is, but besides that, none of their guys are really like jumping off the page at me. Yeah, Luis Severino's been all right for them. Really pitching wise though, they're just finding a way to win, and I respect that. So good on the Mets, the Nationals, and the Marlins at the bottom. not much to talk about for either of these teams. C.J. Abrams has been pretty good for the Nationals, but I mean, they just traded Jesse Winker to the Mets. Yeah, there's not much to talk about. The Brewers at the top of the NL Central. They looks like they're gonna win this division. I don't see a world where any of these teams behind them can maybe the Cardinals could get hot. They have been winning a lot recently. They kind of cooled off of their big streak, but William Contreras, Willie Adames, Jackson Churio, Bryce Terang, Reese Hoskins, Christian Yelich. It's just a great team. Um, Freddie Peralta, pitching wise, has been solid. Um, Colin Ray. It's a really good team. I think the Brewers should have this division, at least in my opinion. Uh, this division's really all just mediocre-ish. Besides the Brewers, really all just compact here, 2 through 5. But yeah, the Cardinals, like I said, they were on that super hot streak, and they've kind of cooled, sizzled off a little since that. But Paul Goldschmidt's still doing solid, I guess you could say. Only hitting 240, but he's getting up there in age, so he's 36. Yeah, Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Gorman. They got a lot of guys. Good on the Cardinals for getting up here. The Pirates still, they won't go away from that second spot. They really want to get up there. Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, Andrew McCutchen, Connor Joe. They got some guys. Paul Skeens, obviously. Paul Skeens. Um, I said this last episode. He's the best pitcher in baseball. People aren't ready for that conversation. I know he's a rookie. He is the best pitcher in baseball. He's 6-1. He's got 11 quality starts, and he has a 1.9 ERA. That's just nasty stuff. He's got 11.5 Ks per 9. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. So, yeah, like I said, he's the best pitcher in baseball. The Reds, Ellie De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, Jonathan India, Jaime Candelario, Tyler Stevenson. They got a lot of names. I don't want to say names. I don't know if I should say that, but they got a lot of guys who are stepping up and doing very solid. Hunter Green still sub 3 ERA. Nick Lodolo's been very good this season. Andrew Abbott, he's been solid. They do trade Frankie Montas to the Brewers, which I do think is interesting. Little in-division trade there. I don't think it's league breaking at all, but that is just interesting to see. We talked about the Cubs a little bit. They trade for Isaac Paredes. They lose Morel. Morel's hitting 199. I do think the Cubs won this trade. I think, I think Paredes is the much better player, but I was interested because the owner said that any moves at the trade deadline, barring a huge, he said this a week before the trade deadline. He said, barring a huge win streak this week, any moves at the trade deadline will be for the future. I guess you could say this is for the future, but we did trade 2 prospects, and they're both 25, so it's not like he's any younger than Morel is. So he's definitely better at defense. He's hitting a better batting average. They're about the same in terms of home runs. He is the better player. He was an all-star. So I do like this move, but I did just think that was interesting, what the owner said compared to what they actually did. But yeah, Cody Bellinger's still hitting 280, Suzuki 273, Michael Bush, Swanson, Ian Happ, Horner. They got I don't know, it's the bullpen. I mean, it really is. Shodi Imanaga's been amazing. Justin Steele, Javier Sad, Jameson Taillon. All those guys are posting sub 3.5 ERAs. So on paper like I said at the beginning of this season, I thought the Cubs would win this division. Now, sitting post trade deadline at the bottom is just sad to see, especially as a Cubs fan. We're gonna speed run through the NL West because I feel like this video is getting a little long. The Dodgers at the top. What's crazy is the Padres and the Diamondbacks. It feels like the Dodgers should have this division wrapped up. Padres and the Diamondbacks are right there, 4.5 and 5 games back. That's really not that much. But yeah, the Dodgers All-Star lineup. You already know all the names. The Padres have been uh, winning a lot recently. They brought in Luis Ariz earlier this season. They still got Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth, Jurickson Profar has been amazing. Um, Probably got the NL Rookie of the Year in Jackson Merrill hitting 286. That's great stuff there. I think they made a trade too. Oh yeah, they bring in Dylan Cease or no? Who am I thinking of? I swear they made a trade. Give me a moment. Let me talk to the Diamondbacks for a second. The Diamondbacks, made the World Series last year off the. They were really hot going into the playoffs, and they made the World Series. So a lot of people said. I heard some people saying they could win the division, which is crazy to me because the Dodgers definitely are the better team. But a lot of people were saying that. I don't know who I'm thinking of that got traded to the Padres. I know it was somebody. Um, yeah, I don't know who I'm thinking of, but yeah. So the Padres, Diamondbacks, right there. The Diamondbacks have. I feel like they've figured things out a little bit. They were off to a slow start. They're 7-3 in their last 10. The Padres are 9-1 in their last 10. Both these teams are really hot right now. Um, the Giants just somehow staying around 500. They always are. I don't understand it. Their team's not good on paper, but they win games. And then the Rockies at the bottom. No surprise there. They're not good. But moving into the playoff predictions, this is what you guys all waited for. This is the best part of the episode to see who I'd pick to win the World Series if it ended today based off today's standings. So starting off in the top left with the American League, we got the Astros taking on the Twins, and I did think about this one a little bit because I do think the Twins are the better team, honestly, but I am going to go with the Astros in 3. They just find a way to win in the playoffs. I don't know what it is. So yeah, I'm going to take the Astros, but I did definitely consider the Twins. I mean, this was in my opinion the hardest. Well, this or the Braves Padres was the hardest wild card. Yeah, this one was tough, but I did end up going with the Astros. Yankees, Royals, 4 versus 5 matchup here. As much as I do love Bobby Witt, I don't think him alone can be enough. I think the Yankees are just too loaded. I think they win in 2. The Royals are still a very young team. The Yankees, although they're known not to get it done in the playoffs, I think they can beat the Royals. They're just a stacked team. It's ridiculous. The Brewers, Diamondbacks, I believe this is a rematch from the wild card from last year. The Diamondbacks did win. I think the Brewers get their revenge, but I did consider the Diamondbacks a little bit. I will say the Brewers win in 3, but I do think the Brewers are the better team. I think they're more complete pitching-wise, hitting-wise, just defensively, everything. So I'm going to go with the Brewers. And then the Braves, Padres. I thought about this one a lot. I really did. I do ultimately think the Braves are the better team. But I will tell you, baseball is a sport where if you're hot going into the playoffs, you can make some noise. We saw it last year with the Diamondbacks. They were the hottest team in baseball. They made it all the way to the World Series. I feel like there's going to be a team like that this year. It could be the Padres. It all just depends on how you're playing at the right time. I mean, it really is. The Padres are very hot, but I do trust the Braves a little bit more. I'm going to say in 3. But this one could definitely go either way. I wouldn't be shocked if the Padres came out on top there. Now moving back over to the American League side of things, the Astros taking on the Orioles. I did say the Astros get it done in the playoffs. I could see them doing this. The Orioles, I mean, they're still a very young team. I know everyone said that last year. That's why nobody picked them. They did end up losing. They got another year under their belt. I'm going to trust them to get it done over the Astros, but that is a scary matchup. I'll say the Orioles get it done in six, though, or not in six. Sorry. Um, I'll say the Orioles get it done in. I'll say in five. I think it goes all 5 games. Um, Now looking at the Yankees Guardians, this is probably the toughest division series in my opinion to pick. I was back and forth on this one. I know the Guardians are the 1 seed. I know I this is it's not gonna happen. They can't get it on the playoffs, but I gotta go with the Yankees. I just feel like on paper, looking at their roster top to bottom, they have the better team. Jazz Chisholm brought in. Now they have Soto, Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe's having a great season. They still got Rizzo. They still got. I mean, just a stacked team, and I know the Guardians are a very solid team. I feel like the Yankees top to bottom are better though. I'll say it goes all 5 games, but I'm gonna go with the Yankees. Brewers Dodgers. As much as I do think the Brewers are kind of being slept on right now, I think they actually have a very solid team. I do have to go with the Dodgers. Like I said, just an all-star lineup, and they brought in Michael Kopech at the trade deadline. They also made one more trade, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I know they brought in Kopech. I'm pretty sure they brought in another guy. Um, but yeah, they just continue to get better. I would say the Dodgers win in 4. I think the Brewers could win a game, but nothing crazy. And then the Braves Phillies NL East matchup here. I feel like we see this every year. Usually Braves are the 1 seed, the Phillies are the 4, but it's the opposite this time. And I do think the Phillies win. Their home field advantage is just ridiculous, and not only that, but I just think they're the better team as of right now. Now, if Acuna and Strider are healthy, I think it's a little bit of a different story. It definitely makes you think a little bit more, but I'm going to go with the Phillies in 4. I think the Braves win a game, but I think the Phillies top to bottom are just stacked. I don't want to say anything yet, but yeah, I'll just save that. So, moving back over to the American League, we got the ALCS matchup here. An AL East battle, 2 teams, the same record, 65 and 45. Orioles taking on the Yankees, and I've seen this a lot. I've seen this matchup happen a lot in my predictions, and I do think it's realistic. I think these 2 teams, in my opinion, are the best 2 teams in the American League. The Guardians are close, but I think these 2 teams are the best teams. Who do I think goes to the World Series? This is very tough, but I do think the Orioles get it done. I think this is their year. I think, like I said, people said to wait, give them a year. They're too young. They said that last year when they were the 1 seed. Now this year, it's next year. This is next year. So I feel like you got to give them respect where it's due. They've had a phenomenal season as of today. I don't think they're gonna have a huge collapse or anything. Um, so I gotta go with the Orioles. I think they're the better team. I think it goes all 7, but I do think the Yankees do end up choking again. But the Yankees could win this too. The Yankees could win the World Series. Both these teams could for sure. So, but I do think the Orioles get to the World Series. Then looking at the National League, the Dodgers taking on the Phillies. Another just an all-star team versus an all-star team. Basically, these 4 teams. Yankees, Orioles, Dodgers, Phillies. I do think those are the 4 best teams in baseball. But the difference is with this matchup, I think the last matchup is, in my opinion, the second and the third best team in baseball. I think this matchup is more the first and the fourth best team in baseball. And the team that I think is the best team in baseball, I think that is the Phillies. I think they beat the Dodgers. I think just pitching wise, I think they got him there. They definitely got him bullpen wise. And then hitting wise, I think it's pretty equal, but defense matters more in the playoffs. I think the Phillies win in 6. And then, like I said, I think the Phillies are the best team in baseball, so I am going to take them over the Orioles. I switched up my pick. I've been taking the Orioles a lot. I feel like the past 2 or 3 episodes maybe I've taken the Orioles. I'm switching up my pick. It's very rare for me to do this. Usually I find my team, I stick to it. I took the Braves almost the whole year last year. That didn't work out. I've taken the Orioles. I took the Braves preseason this year again. took the Orioles since then, since the first video, and then now I'm taking the Phillies. I just think top to bottom. I've said this. I said this a lot last year. I feel like they're a team built for the playoffs, and the fact that they're winning this much in the regular season, I think, is is very testament to how legit this team is this year. Everybody's hitting well, pitching wise. Like I said, they got one of the best starting rotations in baseball, and arguably the best bullpen in baseball too. Um, I think they're the best team in baseball, and you usually don't see the best team in baseball win the World Series. I mean, you do, but it's usually more who's hot at the right time. But as of right now, I gotta go with the Phillies. It's hard not to pick them, honestly. The home field advantage is just that's a big thing too. I think the Phillies win this in six. Like I said, I think the Orioles could get. I think the Orioles can win the World Series. But can I do? But do I see it happening? Going through the Yankees and then either Phillies, Dodgers. I don't know. There's yet, like I said, I was giving them praise. That this is the year. People said last year to wait till this year. Now it's this year, but they are still young. So I don't want to go back on my word, but they are still a very young team. Phillies are more win now. The Orioles are win now. They're also win next year, the year after that, because they're still a young team. So I think this is a Phillies year. I think they're gonna win 2024 World Series. So yeah, it's gonna do it for the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you go down there, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we upload new videos. Like I said, we're gonna have college football videos coming very very soon. The season is we're in the month of August, so the season is a couple weeks away till week 0. So like I said, we're gonna preview every conference, similar to how we did with college basketball this year. We're gonna preview every conference, and then we're obviously gonna have our preseason top 25. Those videos are always fun to make. So yeah, that's right around the corner. NFL weekly picks will start up in a month or so because the NFL season's right around the corner. So that will be fun. That's always fun as always. So yeah, it's a good time to be on the channel. Make sure you subscribe and check out all the links in the description: X, Discord, Twitch, TikTok, all of that stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed.